Hello team and welcome back to another Line War cast. This is your map today in a 1v1 between Infenzia in blue and someone said that my nickname sucks in red. Both players are playing with a 2x handicap in this game, which means that they get twice the normal amount of starting territories to pick. And as you see in the case for blue here, Infenzia started in 2 separate starting locations. Nickname will be able to do the same and does. Nickname in red in the north and then also in the south. Same thing with Infenzia in blue in the north and then also to the east. With 2x handicap, both players will also start with twice as many resources compared to if you're just playing normally, which is a 1x handicap. So Infenzia's got a lot of money. So does Nickname. It's a 3 airport start from Infenzia. And all airports are building helicopters at the moment. Refinery and now a depot as well for Infenzia, who's going to start banking up the energy to fly all these helicopters. And we heard factories as well. And it is right beside this refinery to the east for Infenzia. And a town. Following up. Nickname on the other hand going for 2 airports, both making bombers at the moment, artillery pieces out of the 2 factories, 2 docks in the north, both building cruisers. And then this farm on the way for red. Expanding with 2 factories on the southernmost island. I suppose it's all connected, but red's in the south here building factories. And right off the bat, eco-wise, 620 for blue and 630 for red. Pretty expected that both players would have very identical incomes at this point. First 3 helicopters for Nickname are almost complete. Or for Infenzia, pardon me, are almost complete. And we'll see if blue is able to maintain a foothold on Nickname's part of the map on this island that red controls entirely. Defensive lines are good. They're going to make blue trade much better here than they would otherwise. The helicopters won't be here in time for this defensive line, but potentially for this 3 defensive line infantry here behind the town. This infantry is going to pop out of this defensive line to try to get into this entrenchment, which is a bad play for that infantry, but without deleting this entrenchment or at least taking off this infantry as one of the receivers, there's no way that blue can stop this from happening. It's just the default behavior of the units. Infenzia has a dock in the north. With Nickname building these 2 cruisers and they're almost completed, as you see the big guns go on top. If Nickname can sniff this out, might be able to actually just destroy this dock before any boats are produced. Red will know that blue cross-picked here because of this territory that is capped. We're looking at Nickname's vision right now. Has no idea of what's going on in the bottom right. Very interesting that Nickname would send the 2 bombers there. I guess it makes sense knowing that both players started with the 2x handicap. So the players could be in 2 spots at once. And this is Nickname's vision. Bombers have very bad vision, but they're good enough to scout here. And both will get out even though those 2 SAMs take some shots. If the SAMs dig in this mountain range, it's pretty good for Infenzia. It'll be hard for red to stop this at all. Or to destroy the refinery. And blue's entirely knocked out of this landmass. There's 1 single infantry that is running as far away as possible to the mountains, presumably so blue can build a proxy base here. But Nickname's on top of it, tracking it down with these 4 infantry. It's actually a transport boat from Infenzia out of this northern dock to start things off. 6 helicopters are complete. This is going to be a lot of damage once the helicopters launch. And this is Infenzia's vision. Transport boat is going to start moving infantry across. And it is a missile boat follow-up. I believe that is a missile boat. The town is very close to these 2 red docks, but the 6 helicopters would be able to take on 2 cruisers. There's going to be 4 cruisers in total. Helicopters can do decent against the cruisers like that, with a little bit of micro potential on the cruiser's part if they want to move command to get closer to the helicopters to fire those machine guns at them. Cruisers don't have the range of missile boats. They aren't able to shoot the actual missiles themselves. But still, in enough numbers, cruisers have pretty good anti-air potential. So helicopters 7, 8, and 9 are about halfway complete. Red and blue are going to make contact here midway down the left side of the map. And Finzia has some more eco building this farm in the bottom right with 2 factories here on this bottom right island. It's going to be very difficult for Red to get anything done. There'll have to be a landing at some point, maybe some commando drops with this barracks so close to the airports. It's 2 interceptors now for Nickname. And Nickname sees the airports, and that's what the reaction is. That's why the interceptors are on the way, I suppose. 2 of them are already completed, so maybe Nickname started this a little bit earlier than seeing the airports. There's a chance that all 4 cruisers would be able to attack the 3 airports. Good thing for Infenzia is that helicopters, they aren't destroyed if the airport is destroyed, unlike other planes. If their planes can't get back to base, they will just explode. So the cruisers, you can see with the flashes, they are attacking the helicopters, but there's just so many blue birds around. Cruisers are done, and this is very good for Infenzia. Blue doesn't see that these 2 docks are over here, but there's plenty of energy off of these 2 refineries and 1 depot that's storing a reserve of fuel. And it's Nickname who's having a little bit of trouble with the energy building this refinery in the bottom. So top down, pretty much the same amount of territories that are controlled by both players, maybe slightly more for Red. Helicopter swarms very, very strong, just like any swarm of units in the game. Against 4 SAMs, this many helicopters will win the fight. And helicopters would be able to take on this interceptor as well in big enough numbers. You can see that the helicopters actually have missiles they can shoot. And one of the interceptors go down, maybe the second one, but these helicopters are pretty low on ammunition. Pretty decent landing force from Infenzia. There's enough money in the bank that a factory might go down very quickly. Blue probably wants to be able to dig in and at least get a foothold here. And here come the bombers. Are they going down to the bottom right? What are they doing? They're going to defend against the landing force. Yeah, this is the line right here. This line command with the bomber receivers. Bombers are great if you can get enough numbers of them. And so far, Nickname's doing just that. Helicopters can't attack bombers because bombers are a high-flying unit, is the term. So it means that missile boats can't shoot their missiles at bombers, SAMs can't shoot their missiles at bombers either. And small arms fire doesn't exist. The infantry can't shoot that high. 3 interceptors on the way for Infenzia now. This is, I think, a very good move for putting some of the helicopters down the south. This is going to make it very difficult for Nickname to hold on here. There's only 2 SAMs in the south, and now there are about 7 helicopters getting into the fight. It's going to be all the helicopters, actually. You can see the movement commands for the blue helicopters. Nickname continuing to eco, and we will check. It's 1024 for blue and 1136 for red. And at this point, red is doing all that can be done, is digging in along these mountain ranges. Because it's in the mountains, defensive lines get an extra bonus. So blue will have to put in a lot of effort to actually break this position, but with more producers on the way, this factory and these 2 barracks, it's going to be a very large blue army. Nicknames on the bottom left island of the map. After these 4 infantry cap this territory, we'll probably see a barracks get put down, and then these infantry will shuffle off to another landmass to cap. Nickname doesn't have enough cash in the bank for a barracks quite yet, but probably will have it by the time that territory is capped. And not really an explosive situation in the north. I thought that these boats would try to attack this town. But there's still a lot of helicopters, and losing 4 cruisers is something that Nickname probably does not want to do. And Red's got these missile boats on the way. No idea how these 2 infantry got over here. And you saw those 2 interceptors shoot the helicopter on the ground. Interceptors can do that. And what happens here? Okay, so Nickname hasn't put a barracks down yet. 2 cruisers and a missile boat in the south. It's an interesting game on 2 times handicap because the game speeds up so much. And with the 2 different starting locations that can happen, just means that there's immediately multiple fronts. There's this movement in the north by the cruisers to attack the town. Both players are getting a landing ready in the bottom right. Spartaman GIF. And more boats. This is going to be a pretty big navy for Nickname on the left-hand side. It depends on how important... I guess it's actually all connected. These boats could come around down on the south. Four cruisers against the missile boats. Missile boats won't be able to do anything against them. And the good thing for Red is that all the helicopters move down to the south. There's 3 more that have been created in the meantime. And it's more helicopters on the way for Blue after making these 4 interceptors. Nice play from Nickname to get 3 of the interceptors. Actually, all 4 of the interceptors. This 5th one shows up. Interceptors are the coolest unit in line war, it's known. And close fight. 2 missile boats showing up at just the right time. The cruisers are easily the best unit on water for fighting other boats. And now that the missile boats are here, I think that Nickname's going to be okay. And will slowly get this town. Good move from Infenzia to move all the helicopters back up to the north, seeing that this is a problem. And still pushing in the south. Infenzia is the first one to land, which is a good thing for Blue. It's mostly SAMs and infantry coming across. There's no naval support. And I think that Nickname's going to hold on. These 2 barracks are going to reinforce quickly enough. Power plants from Nickname now, it's just the energy is really a problem. Especially with this many cruisers out on the map. Cruisers have huge energy consumption. And just in Navy games in general, energy is such an important thing. Both players know that. Still bombers and interceptors for Nickname. And as mentioned, to switch entirely back to helicopters for Infenzia. Eco-wise, 1250 for Red, 1168 for Blue. Both players now have these 2 docks in the north. Red is making missile boats, Blue is making cruisers. The missile boats from Red make a lot of sense. This is a lot of helicopters, just a lot of planes in general that Infenzia is rolling with. Still going off these 3 airports. These 2 barracks have been turned off to save some money. Interesting game. Nickname's gonna hold here until there's this cruiser support. Once there's some cruisers down here for blue, it'll be much more difficult for red to actually defend from the landings. And the bombers are going again. Just up to the north. Nickname can definitely see this refinery because there's anti-stealth on refineries. Same with the town. And what a weird mix. Helicopters, interceptors, and bombers. A cruiser and 2 missile boats. These 2 missile boats that just popped out of the docks for red couldn't have shown up at a better time. But blue is still going to take this fight. And still going to win this fight. The cruiser will probably get destroyed, which is good. So none of the docks will go down at the moment. The helicopters are going to have to return to base very quickly. Which will save the docks for now. So many SAMs going up to the north for Nickname. When the SAMs are here, maybe the docks will stay alive. I would not have expected that. More power plants for Nickname. Power plants being roughly a third as efficient as a refinery. But the bonus is that you can place them anywhere. And it sort of depends on how blue is feeling. There's certainly an argument that blue could just keep pushing through this mountain range. There's actually not that many units here. This is blue's vision. So just 7 SAMs and a handful of infantry and artillery pieces. And the bombers are going again to the north. I think they're still in this like sort of like defensive idea right now. Yeah, and they go home. Makes a lot of sense. $13.39 eco for red and $12.42 for blue. So slowly blue is coming back on the eco here. We just heard a rocket somewhere. Cruiser is huge. There's no way infantry can actually do anything against a cruiser. Once there's a second cruiser, it'll make this landing pretty much guaranteed for blue to pull off. Nickname is also trying to land in the north, though, opening up another front with all these infantry. And there's the rockets that Infenzi has built, has started construction. Like, I guess it's the launch pad, it's not the rocket necessarily. But this will be good for attacking the docks, potentially. Also maybe here to destroy all the SAMs. Make it more possible for another landing, although there's no transport boat around. I guess there's one, but one transport boat is pretty much enough to actually service this amount of space between the land masses. Because the trips are so short. All the helicopters for blue are in the north, and it's entirely strikers and interceptors now out of the 3 airports. Artillery is the only unit that can really go toe-to-toe with cruisers. And this is a lot of blue artillery. The boats will at least buy time. Here's Nickname backing up those missile boats. Makes a lot of sense. And in fact, backing up the cruisers. There's sort of enough artillery pieces in this defensive line to at least buy a lot of time for these helicopters to get up. Because there are no SAMs here for blue. And no SAMs on the way. Infenzi are going for more eco. And Nickname built this dock. This is a sizable amount of infantry that are landing for Nickname. And there's only really these 3 producers for Infenzia on the bottom right island. So there's a chance that this could get a little bit uncomfortable for Infenzia in the north. The endless push and pull of the two naval forces in the northern little body of water is still going. And eco-wise, 1252 for Infenzia and 1391 for Nickname. Nickname also making more money per minute. And top down, this is what it looks like. So this fight turns into a stalemate. We'll see if Infenzia starts sending units across. The launch pad is complete, so once blue gets 500 money, there will be a rocket that starts construction. And blue's going to transit the helicopters down south. There's really nothing that they can get done over here. There's just so many SAMs and missile boats. And helicopters super strong in high numbers, but the second they don't have an overwhelming numbers advantage, helicopters don't have a lot of HP, and they will melt very quickly. So Nickname didn't build a barracks in the bottom left, obviously. Instead, just cap the entire island with these 4 infantry, and now we'll move them across to the last island on the map. I suppose there are these two in the top left, but not really thinking about those. Not super consequential. Infenzia is across. This is really bad news for Nickname because it opens up this entire second front that's going to threaten this refinery. And just in general, encircle these units for red. On the flip side though, 2 cruisers not really here in time to stop the infantry from getting through this choke. And now that they're past the defensive line, 4 artillery pieces isn't really enough to defend the refinery here or the factory. Two of the cruisers are here to chip away on the infantry. But this is a move command from Infenzia to make sure that these red from Nickname, pardon me, to make sure that these red infantry don't stop to fight the cruisers, and instead they head right here on that blue command. Okay, we're obviously missing something here. Wow. Still no submarines in this game, which might not be surprising. It's a little bit surprising. And overall, actually, Infenzia does defend this. With these 5 artillery pieces, the refinery won't go down. There's not enough infantry left anymore. Nice play from Nickname to try to attack that refinery, and good reaction time from Infenzia, sending the 4 cruisers back up. Both the airports take a beating, but they don't go down. Although this bomber might actually be able to finish them off. Oh, we got tooltips on? Oops. I feel like I've turned them off. But there they were. What did I even click on that got a tooltip? Inter-airbase transportation. Okay, cool. What's that? These interceptor or missile boats are in a perfect location every time the planes take off or land. Mostly when they land, the missile boats get free shots. 4 cruisers will make sure that stops. And the rocket is 1/3 of the way done for blue. Now that all this territory is being capped back, I would suspect that red is blue is closer on the eco. 1379 for blue and 1391 for red. A nickname is officially on this island, whatever we want to call it. Which I don't know if everyone knows, so I'm going to say it. But this island is actually just this island. And I never noticed it because it's a cylindrical map. It just keeps repeating itself. You see what I mean? Look at this. Holy cow. I didn't know. I didn't know for months playing this game. This lovely game. So on the bottom right, Infenzi is still pushing, taking back all this territory. Puts red in a very tough spot. The rocket can't reach this far for blue. And a little navy on the left-hand side. A good amount of missile boats. Infenzi's solution to this many missile boats is to just attack with every single plane. And it will work. Nickname's out of energy, so these boats won't be able to run away. And a good cleanup from blue, destroying everything except for 2 missile boats. The cap of the rocket is about to be put on, so it's nearly complete. And Infenzi with a little sneaky, cheeky landing around the north. Infenzi at one time in a team game took 5 transport boats and transited the whole map to do a backdoor landing, and it won the game. Still remember that game for some reason. It's somewhere on the channel. Point is, Infenzi knows how to use these transport boats to be super annoying. And maybe even set up a proxy base if these infantry go unnoticed. Rocket is complete. And there's no transport boat here. There's no landing that's going to happen. The rocket could just be entirely defensive. This is Infenzi's vision. Now my guess is that the rocket would go right here, right in front of all these boats, to wipe out the navy and then allow these cruisers to show up and destroy the docks. And this is what's going to happen. There's not going to really be enough time for the missile boats and the SAMs to shoot the rocket down, and they don't. And that's a very strong play. Now these 2 red docks are in trouble. The town will also fall. This town will also be destroyed. Or rather, it'd be hard for Nickname to defend it. There'd have to be a entrenchment of artillery pieces like being set up right now. A lot of commando drops incoming for red. It's sort of tough because it's a little bit of an island game, so it's hard to get onto different land masses. GG, well played. Both. A 1v1 with 2 times handicap. Twice as much fun. 4 times as much fun if you really think about the math involved here. And actually, yeah, maybe I need to bring this up. I think watching replays, maybe the graphs don't load. But it is what it is. GG, well played. AI is out now, in case you weren't aware. That's what brought this handicapping system, so you can play, 2v3s and make the teams relatively even. But check it out on Steam. The Discord is a wonderful place to ask folks questions about the game, watch replays, just in general hang out. And folks, I hope you have a wonderful night, day, breakfast, lunch, dinner, evening, whatever it is. See you around. Peace.